Happy day. Today is Compassionate Cities Day. And I welcome all of you to a show about compassion. I've got some wonderful people, very compassionate people, that are going to talk to you about things to do with compassion. You might be wondering why I'm holding this copper pipe in my hand. The reason is that I believe compassion comes in all different shapes, sizes, people, inanimate objects, whatever. And the other day, I was in great need. And it was 7:30 in the morning, and I needed a plumber. And this gentleman came out immediately to help me out, and that's why I have this plumber's copper pipe in my hand, because he showed me a great deal of compassion. And that helped to make the rest of my day. So the two people I have with me, if you want to introduce yourself and say why you're here in Aspen.
Well, my name's Ari Cowan, and I'm the co-director of the International Institute for Compassionate Cities, and I'm here for the celebration on Saturday. I've come out from Bellevue at the headquarters of the International Institute because Basalt's one of our compassionate cities.
Oh, okay. I've trained at that police department in your area there in Washington.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Marie?
I'm Marie Gassaw. I'm the pastor of the Basalt and Thomasville Community United Methodist Churches, and I'm also here on behalf of Compassionate Basalt.
And could you tell us, Basalt has become a compassionate city, and what does that mean?
Oh, good question. In March of 2011, a group of middle school students and I took a proclamation to the town council of Basalt, the mayor, and we unanimously became part of this wonderful global network of communities that have committed themselves to using the golden rule or the ethic of reciprocity as the guiding principle for all the decisions they make. Now we're in the process of figuring out what that's going to mean, and it's already meant some very specific things, but we have a lot to learn. And this event that we're having on Saturday, August 13th, is an opportunity for the entire community to find out about it. What it can mean in our individual lives, what it can mean in terms of our community, okay, what it can be in our region.
Okay. And when you say community, you mean the whole Roaring Fork Valley?
We're hopeful that everybody's going to come out.
And you're going to have entertainment and all sorts of information and...
Yeah. We have the Glenwood Vaudeville Review, for example, is coming to do a 20-minute set. It's going to be hysterical. Okay. We have interactive art projects that are for all generations. We're going to create reusable shopping bags as part of the event.
Wonderful.
We have non-competitive win-win games that count on cooperation instead of, you know, I win, you lose. Right. No, how can we both win? Right. We have speakers. We're doing 4 awards for Compassionate Basalt, 2 to individuals, 1 to 2 brothers, and another to a family, because these are folks that exemplify that spirit of compassion. This is how you do it.
Okay. And it's, what time is it being held on Saturday?
It's from 3 to 6 in Lions Park.
3 to 6, Lions Park.
Lions Park.
And for people that don't know Basalt, that Lions Park is...
If you think of when you come into the main part of downtown Basalt and you see the caboose,
right,
that's the triangle that is Lions Park, okay, and Town Hall is there and the Wiley Arts Center.
Okay. Give me a one-sentence definition, personal definition of compassion. What does that mean to you?
To be able to feel with others.
All right.
To understand what they're going through, for them to understand what I'm going through. It's mutual respect.
To walk in someone else's shoes.
That's a good way to say it.
When I would have workshops with police officers, I actually make them take off their shoes. Mm-hmm. And we'd have females in the room as well. And they'd have to switch shoes and walk across. And it was really funny to see these big guys in high heels. So, Ari, tell us about how you found this organization and what your hopes and dreams are. And if a city wants to become a compassionate city, what do they need to do? So just...
Sure. Well, we had an event in Seattle called the Seeds of Compassion, where the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu came. And that was in 2008, and 154,000 people showed up.
Wow.
And it was jammed, the stadiums and everything, and over 5 million people watched it over the internet. And out of that grew a group called the Compassionate Action Network. Now, I attended that event, and then I heard about the Compassionate Action Network, and I thought, well, I'll just go volunteer for them a bit. And one thing led to another, sure, and as it grew, I got brought on to work on the Compassionate Cities campaign, and I also do strategy work for them. So it kind of has a life of its own. We call it the tsunami because it's coming at us so fast and so big. But initially, we had heard about Karen Armstrong, the acclaimed British author and the winner of the TED Prize, the online TED Talks, Ideas Worth Spreading is their handle. And she won the TED Prize, $100,000 in 2008. And her wish, it was to fund her wish for a charter for compassion. So she developed that. That was about the same time the Seeds of Compassion event was going on. And one of our members of the Compassion Action Network said, "Have you heard of this?" And so we all looked at that and said, "Oh, this is really wonderful." And someone else said, "Well, let's see if we can make Seattle a compassionate city and just see what we could do." And the city went for it, and they, the mayor and the city council signed a proclamation, and we became a compassionate city. Well, Karen Armstrong heard about this, so she flew from London to Seattle for this big event, and we all got to meet her there and everything. And one thing led to another, and all of a sudden we have this international campaign because we were called by a number of other cities saying, "What are you guys doing in Seattle? Can we do that too?" And now it's become, we've received a grant from the Fetzer Institute to do this. We didn't apply for it. We just got it, and it's great. And they're wonderful people at Fetzer. And we began building the international campaign for compassionate cities. And so we went from being an all-volunteer organization now to being a more formal organization with international connections and so on. And right now we have 6 compassionate cities. Basalt is the second in the world. And it's sort of like, I always tell Marie and the people here, it's kind of our petri dish to do experiments on and stuff and see what works. And then we have about 49 candidates, New Delhi in India, Amman, Jordan, the Netherlands as a country. Louisville probably will go next, Louisville, Kentucky. They're all over the world. To become a compassionate city, to join the international campaign for compassionate city, a city does 3 things. One is it affirms the Charter for Compassion. It says, we say that treating other people like we'd like to be treated is a value this city agrees with. And then the second thing is they commit to a 10-year campaign or some period of time, usually it's 10 years, to do something about the sorrow and suffering and the despair and so on that's in their city. Now, it's not city government doing it. It's the people and the government supporting. Then the third thing, they agree to create a plan. And that's where Basalt is right now, is busy creating a plan with the International Institute supporting that effort through our university connections and our connections at the UN and so forth. So
who would you suggest that someone go see in their city to get this process started?
Well, it differs in each city. They're really unique. And what usually happens is somebody decides they want to do this. And it could be, in the case of Millbrae, California, it was the city government people seem to have jumped on it. Other times it's somebody like Marie who'd heard about the Charter for Compassion. And so you get a coalition, and what I think people want to put together is a coalition of groups within the city. It really shouldn't come from government first, because then it looks like sort of something they're wearing, kind of a trapping for PR.
But they do have to go to government as a group.
Yeah, but if you go as a group, and like in Louisville, it's an attorney, Tom Williams, who got the bug, and he got all these groups, and the mayor had already said that compassion was one of the pillars of his administration, but they came to the city, and the city says, we're ready to go with that.
Well, in my humble opinion, if you find one person in each city that's like this woman over here, this tornado whirlwind, I mean, she's just, like I said, well, I read her emails and I've got to go take a nap.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just never stops and so compassionate and excited about what.
That's been one of our questions. We're not sure what you're feeding her here in the Roaring
water.
Fork Valley.
But
She is an example, and Basalt in this valley are now known all over the world. I'll hear from somebody in Pakistan say, well, how's everything in Basalt? How are they doing?
Don't encourage them to, don't tell them about the river and about the weather, and don't tell them, because we don't.
We have that same problem in Seattle too, you know.
Yeah, but Basalt can't, I mean,
That's right.
That's
right. I understand.
Okay. Give me your personal definition of compassion.
Well, my personal definition would be that compassion is the heartfelt witnessing of sorrow and suffering coupled with a strong desire to take some action about it.
Take action.
Yeah.
What percent of the world do you think are compassionate people?
Well,
Just, I mean, we're not going to hold you to it.
It's a great question because I think other than the percent that are psychopathic, that have sociopaths who are wired differently in their brains, that we are wired for compassion. It turns out that we're that way. The number of people living in fear and ignorance and superstition so that they're not compassionate, it's a huge number of people. It would be, it's hard to guess a percentage, but it's really just massive.
I told you that I play bridge on an international website.
Yeah, that's great.
17,000 people. So that's a big community from all, I mean, countries I've never heard of. And for the most part, I'd say, I mean, a lot of the people are compassionate. For the most part, they're there to play bridge. They don't want to know anything. They don't want to know if somebody's in the hospital, let's send him or her some good wishes. I mean, to me, it's very disconcerting.
Yes.
And I think that's the way, I think people are such into self-survival these days, especially since this week. And I mean, just look at all the countries and what's going on. So people that really want to spread compassion certainly have their work cut out for them.
Right.
By the way, I have several of these, and Marie does also, these yellow compassionate cities bracelets. If anybody wants one, you can either call me or call Marie.
Come to the event.
Come
We
to
have
the event on
1,700
Saturday.
to pass out.
All right. And that's from 3 to 6.
3 to 6, Lions Park.
in
Here's my
Basalt.
poster. They're all over town in
Okay.
2 languages.
Let's talk, you know, the piece, the compassion starts within. All right. So let's go within for a minute.
Sure.
What would be your suggestions to people that they really want to be compassionate, but they don't have time and they don't have any money and, you know, all the stories that we hear for people not doing things. So what would be some of your suggestions for people to take that first step forward?
One is, which you actually raised in your comment, is to ask yourself, so why are you telling yourself these stories about not being who you are? And because it means the compassionate path takes a lot of courage. It means that you have to give up a lot of your prejudices, a lot of your drama that comes with the rancor and so on that we see in political life in this country and so on. And one of the things that seems to help is taking a breath, believe it or not. When you get irked at somebody, you're driving down Highway 82 and somebody does something and you think that's it because you're just feeling so disempowered, take a breath because in terms, and we probably don't have enough time to get really deeply into neuroscience, but there are these 2 parts of the brain called the amygdala, and it's going to want to kick in. If you take a breath, then that calms down and you don't do something stupid. The other one is just spend some time being quiet and contemplating things just to relax. That's just good in health terms, but also just to notice what's going on. The last thing probably is to try it out. Try and see what it feels like. It is really exhilarating when somebody you're well served at a restaurant and you demand to see the manager because you want to point out that this person really took great care of you and they're the reason you come back and you wanted them to know. It's a terrific feeling to have. So starting, I think, with just noticing what's going on.
Which is being in the now.
Yeah, and being aware, and then setting your intention. What do I intend to do? And also saying, where do I put my attention? In the United States, as we watch things happening here, and I think in Great Britain now with the riots, people are wringing their hands saying it's terrible, it's terrible. Wow, it's terrible, it's just terrible, it's terrible. Well, at some point you've gotten that it's terrible. Now what are you going to do? If you put your attention on the terrible part, well, okay, but now what needs to
So
happen?
you're talking about the law of intention and attraction
right.
and all that.
Yeah.
That's also the reason for the wristbands
Mm-hmm.
too.
To
It's
to
there.
snap 'em.
I mean, I see it every time I move. There's that wristband reminding me,
Right.
so that the intention becomes habit.
Right.
And it's a matter of rehabituating ourselves away from an underlying principle or a philosophy of fear and distrust and anger and self-hate, the whole bit, toward one that is so positive and so life-affirming. Why wouldn't anyone want to be part of that? It feels so good to let go of all that other stuff.
Well, some people feel they don't deserve it.
Yeah, well,
I think
we'll help them.
A good guide, Karen Armstrong has a new book out called 12 Steps to a Compassionate Life. And it just takes it's just like a 12-step program, which has been very successful in treating a lot of other things. And just go through that book. I've had a
One
lot of
step
people
at a
say
time.
that just was a revelation to them to go through that. So,
Well, something you were talking about, the UK brought to mind. Many people from the UK are on our Bridge International website. And I was talking to a guy from outside of London, and he actually said, hold on, I better go lock my door. And I thought, well, that's interesting, because when I lived in San Francisco, I was under contract to the police department. And one thing that I did to help make a difference in my community was work through the police department with high-risk kids. And I informally adopted one, and she lived up in Hunters Point, which we had a youth club up there. When I would go up there, I'd have a police escort. The other mentor that went up there was Dianne Feinstein. She didn't have a police escort. She went up on her own. She was braver than I was. But anyway, I was talking one night on the phone to this teenager that I had adopted, and she said, Sandy, she said, wait a minute. I said, where are you going? She said, I hear shooting outside. I have to go into the bathtub and lie down so I won't get shot. And I thought, this is America, you know, and these things have been going on here, but not overtly, and we don't hear about it a lot. So there's just so much to be done, and then we've got Somalia and Ethiopia. I mean, it's like I don't usually get into global depression, but the last month I've been feeling, I mean, every day it's like something new. So you have to stay on top of yourself.
right. And say, let's get started. The world has been through these things before, and how do we change how we think about the world and the adoption that you sort of take on somebody to care about. I've decided now, when people ask me how many children do you have, my answer is I don't know. How many are there?
Yeah.
And they're all mine. We have to realize that we are all sons and daughters of humanity. And if we're capable of ingeniously creating the messes we've got, we're capable of getting out of them. So let's get out of them and let's get going. And compassion's a gateway for that.
It's okay. Go.
It also gives you the opportunity of saying, yeah, there's civil unrest in London, but I can take this step here in the Roaring Fork Valley right now. And it's in believing in that the power of that networking, that I'm taking this step toward being compassionate. This other person is doing it. There's somebody in New Delhi, India that's doing it. And it grows. For me, it's kind of like the movie Avatar, where they finally realize that the tree roots connect them all. And there's so much power in that. But it's taking the initial individual commitment and allowing that to grow and multiply. I think it's contagious.
And it goes back to the individual.
Yes.
So I'm sure that you all have the same experience. There's a lot of people who think they're spiritual people. Now, it's a judgment. For me to judge that they're in denial is a judgment. From their perception, they are spiritual people. From many people's perceptions, they are compassionate people. Is there like a key or a bell that goes off when you know that you're sort of lying to yourself? Because, you know, most people don't want to take a look inside, from my experience.
It's hard because you can be so deceived, because compassion itself's got a wicked hook to it. If you sit there and say, I'm compassionate, and follow it with, what a great human being I am, and you're out there and you do the things so that you can wear your compassion, evidence suggests you may have missed it. And what you have to be is aware of what's going on and the levels that you will go through to become really compassionate and really become really at home in the world with that, instead of having to prop yourself up. What I found in the Compassion in Action Network, the leadership there, it's startling how unself-conscious the people are, and they have a good number of the people have no desire for heroism or anything, or to be featured. They're really happy to pass off things and so on. And it's a great group to work with. It's a different world, and it's a good model.
Let's go to the other end of the continuum. You have people who aren't compassionate enough. Then you have people that are too compassionate. And in that compassion, they give away parts of themselves. I mean, there's concern, then there's giving away parts of yourself on a continuous basis, and pretty soon there's nothing left for you. So you can be compassionate, but also take care of yourself.
Right. Otherwise, the risk you have is you can be enabling.
Yes.
You can use it as a form of self-injury, which is when you're giving away yourself, which is not a good thing. It gets mistaken for pity. It can be used to feel really one up on other people, and you can feel one down on other people. You know, and it's a narrow path to walk.
A little self-disclosure: I have an inbred response to when people hurt themselves. When we're walking out of here, and if you fell and you hurt your knee, my knee would actually hurt. Now, what is that? I mean, that's beyond compassion. That's craziness.
Not totally sure.
There was a Star Trek episode about it.
Is there?
About an empath who took so much of the crew's pain into herself that it killed her, because she didn't have an outlet, a way of releasing other people's pain. It goes back to that sense of being interrelated, that if I truly am going to be compassionate toward you, I have to learn real self-aware compassion for myself, that they're intertwined and that they can't be taken apart.
Yeah, that's part. I think if you really are honest and stand back and look at human beings, I hate to say this, we're fairly pathetic. There are squirrels that are faster than us. We're the only animal that has to wear artificial skin. We have no upper body strength. We can't swing in the trees like our relatives, or some people say our relatives do. The reason we've made it is we can do this, but other animals, mammals, can do that too. But because we connect with each other, and we socialize, and we're made to survive by relying on each other and so forth. And it's going back to that and understanding that that is really a good way to go. It's a profitable way to go.
So I have 4 more minutes in which I have to thank my underwriters. I have to say goodbye to y'all. I have to do my closing motivational story.
There you go.
So if you could wrap up in one sentence something that you'd want the audience to walk away with from this discussion, what would it be?
Well, I would like them to know that it's compassion's practical, possible, and they can get started by going on the charterforcompassion.org website and affirming the charter. It doesn't cost anything. It's easy to do. And if they're tired of the rancor and the fear and the superstition, join us. We're going to turn the world.
And what's in it for them is they will feel better. That's
and they'll get a better world, and they'll leave one for their kids.
And they will attract more worthy things into your life. Okay, one thing you want to say about the event on Saturday, just a reminder.
Come, bring grandma, bring the kids, come find out about how to become part of this movement. If you really want to feel alive, try compassion. And
I would love to meet people there. I'm going to be there myself. So.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank 2 special underwriters. One is Tad, who's been an underwriter of mine for 14 years at Basalt Clinic Pharmacy. And the other one is Integrity Plumbing, and that's where I got this from. And that organization really is filled with compassion and integrity. And I have a little story here, which is called A Little Story. And you might not see what it has to do with compassion, but, you know, it's your individual take on it. So here we go. This is a story about 4 people named Everybody, Somebody, Anybody, and Nobody. There was an important job to be done, and everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Now, somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it, So it ended up that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done.
That's great.
Isn't that great in putting together an event that you've been working on for so long? So I hope that all of you will come out Saturday at 6 o'clock to Lions. 3 o'clock till 6 o'clock.
Yes.
Are you going to have food?
There will be food available, and some of the Hispanic ladies are making agua frescas, fresh waters from fruit.
Oh,
It's going to be wonderful.
Okay.
Cookies and
Yeah. Well, give your family, and it's a family affair, so come play with your family and with the rest of the community. Thank you for watching. I enjoy your viewership so much for these past 14 years. And I thank all of my underwriters, which includes Vail Dermatology, Roxy's Food Market, Glenwood Hot Springs Pool, and my dentist, Scott Alter, the man that makes my smile. Have a great evening, have a great week, and I'll see you soon. This is Sandra Glosser for Grassroots TV.